Abhishek. Thank you so much and welcome to the ongoing series. Really pleased to have you with us for the ongoing series on the healthcare. I would probably briefly give an introduction of yourself and then you can add to your experience and journey, Abhishek. So I understand you've been with Samara for more than 17 years and your career has spanned over 20 plus years, largely focusing on both the consumer and the healthcare industry. You are sitting on as a board member and chairman on many companies, including Sahajanand, including Marengo hospitals and a few others. So happy to, maybe if you want to give your background and experience before we jump into the questions.
Thanks. Thanks foremost for having me here. You've already given a sense, but I think it's my passion for investing and a business building mindset which got me into this industry. And since then, it's been a journey of passionate investing and growing along with the firm Samara Capital as well as the companies where we've been able to do value add and exit at good returns. So yes, the journey continues. Thank you.
Thanks, Abhishek. So we'll love to hear more from you during the course of these sessions. We've also got Nutan with us. Nutan heads our ESG practice at Affordability. So we would maybe go through some of these questions and get your perspective on how you've been able to sort of shape up the healthcare experience over the last 2 decades. So to start with, Abhishek, can you provide your perspective on the macro outlook of the industry, healthcare industry, since you've been there for more than 2 decades? How has it evolved?
See, healthcare is one focus sector for us. This is one sector where you can say that there is decades of growth ahead of us. If you look at the macro numbers, India would be about 3.5% of the GDP spend is towards healthcare versus the world average, which could be around 8 to 10% depending on various geographies. So clearly a long way to go, and it's pretty natural that as economies emerge, after food, clothing, shelter, the next frontier is healthcare, which people have to make sure that best is available. Yeah. So that's it's a sector where we strongly believe that there will be a lot of investment opportunities, as well as a lot of effort and work will go towards providing quality healthcare. And that is where we believe we can also do some value add along with investing. If you look at the healthcare sector overall, just to break it down, it's easy to understand from the 4 A's, which is awareness, affordability, access, and accountability. These are the 4 A's. If you start with awareness, you would see that there's a significant change that has happened in the last 10 years or so. Maybe because of the augment of social media, because of the jolt that we all saw during COVID times, people have become more conscious and thereby more aware of their healthcare needs. And that we believe is something that was the first frontier to solve. If you are not even aware, then how do you even talk about other aspects? So that's something that is happening in a very fast way. As far as affordability is concerned, that is also getting solved. So again, private insurance making a big penetration, health insurance, as well as with government schemes, including Ayushman Bharat, there is a much wider coverage that is now available. And all of this has happened predominantly in the last 10 years. So that's a big change, and it will continue to move in that direction until we achieve universal healthcare. So the affordability aspect will also get solved in a very meaningful way. With private capital flowing in as there is more demand, and there are pockets where people can make profits as well, there will be more and more capital that will flow in the sector. And that is what will keep solving for the access. So there are people who will come out with various business models catering to quality healthcare. There would be people who will be focusing only on government schemes, and then accordingly invest in infrastructure and make it more accessible. So access is also getting solved through Let's say on the diagnostic side, it is getting solved as people are willing to go come up right up to your home and offer diagnostic services. They are available in tier 3, tier 4 and many other remote locations, which previously was not the case. So access is something that will take the longest, but it will get solved over a period of time on the healthcare side. And lastly, where I believe there is initial work that is happening, but long way to go is accountability.
Yeah.
Today, we have 55,000 hospitals and nursing homes in the country, but only 1,425 are NABH certified.
Which is less than 3%.
Less than 3%. NABH is the basic certification that is available today in the country, where you can get yourself accredited, where patients can come in and safely know that there is system, process, infrastructure, protocols that are being followed. So the question is, what about the 97%? Why are they not opting for it?
Yeah.
And that's where...
And that's a choice, is it? You still have a choice to get accredited or not?
Yes, it is. If you want to avail certain benefits, certain schemes, you want to attract certain set of doctors or patients towards your hospitals, you endeavor and go for NABH.
Right.
But there is no compulsion as such. And that's where we believe that it's the patients who will start asking for accountability. And that's where more and more setups will go for accreditations, will be more accountable, will be more transparent in the way they approach things. So these are some mega trends that we see are unfolding right in front of us.
And how has your investment thesis, or over the last 2 decades, how has that shifted with these changes happening, evolution happening in the sector?
Yeah, we've been investing for a long time now in this sector, and the journey started with investing in Thyrocare laboratories way back in 2010. Diagnostics at that point of time was largely retail oriented, where you would have a setup where patients can walk in. Whereas Thyrocare disrupted that model with a centralized lab approach. Today, what we know as hub and spokes.
Yeah.
Thyrocare was one of the first few companies to do that, having a centralized laboratory and then empowering the franchisees and offering lower cost to them, because they get the benefit of consolidating all the samples, processing it at one lab, in which they were passing it back to the franchisees and the end patients. So it was a good virtuous cycle which was working for them, and the company has done quite well. Our second investment in the healthcare space happened in medical devices company called Lotus Surgicals.
Yeah.
Lotus Surgicals is the third largest surgical sutures provider in India. The largest being Ethicon, which is an arm of Johnson & Johnson. The second largest being Healthium, which is also a private equity owned. So we made an acquisition of Lotus Surgicals. As a surgical suture company, we saw that as surgeries keep going in the country, there will be a need. There is a need for quality at more affordable prices as compared to what multinationals like Ethicon were charging. We also saw a big opportunity on the entire exports side, where countries across Africa, Latin America, Asia are demanding the same quality products at better prices, which is where we could also scale up Lotus Surgicals quite nicely on the international side.
Both Thyrocare, Lotus, you've exited now? Or this?
Both exited.
And both of them, from the beginning, your thesis was to get majority.
No, in case of Thyrocare Laboratories, it was a minority investment. So Thyrocare Laboratories went for an IPO in 2015. We partly exited then and remaining over a period of time. For Lotus Surgicals, it was always what we thought as a big strategic value that we'll be able to build as we scale up that business. And that eventually we exited to Murugappa Group through their company called TI Medical, which acquired the stake in them. So moving on, we did investment in AIG hospitals. That was our first hospital foray in terms of investment. This was again a minority investment for us. AIG hospitals, as you would know, they are one of the best when it comes to gastroenterology as a specialty. And during our investment journey, they grew from 200 beds to 1,000 beds, from a single specialty focus to a multi-specialty focus. And we exited our stake to a healthcare dedicated fund, Quadria Healthcare. Then in 2016 and 17, we invested in Sahajanand Medical Technology. So this was the second investment in the medical devices field for us. This time, backing an innovator with an R&D focus mindset, which was ready to take on the multinationals in their own geographies with the product offerings that they had. So today, where we stand, Sahajanand Medical Technologies is amongst the leading companies in India, heading for an IPO very soon. And there are two set of specialities on which they focus. One is on the interventional cardiology side, where they are the market leading company for stents, that's the product in India. And they have established presence in Europe, where they are amongst the top 3, top 5 in many geographies in Europe. The other part of their portfolio revolves around structural heart, which is TAVI and occluders. These are the two products which they have commercialized in the last 2 years, and again catering to the globe. They export to more than 70 countries, and 2/3 of their 1,000 plus crore revenue comes from international markets. Thereafter, in 2021 is when we did Marengo Asia Hospitals. Once we had exited AIG Hospitals, we saw an opportunity to a roll-up play, which as Samara Capital we have done few times over, and it has scaled up quite nicely in the last 3.5 years. It's scaled to 6 assets with about 1,850 beds under management, and today amongst the leading hospital chains which remain unlisted.
So I want to hold up on that point. You started with earlier investments as minority investments, right? Thyrocare, AIG is also minority. Then you talked about the roll-up play. Would love to hear more about this change in strategy, whether it is called, or the thought process, more confidence in the industry, where you started building a platform, right? So both for your Marengo hospitals as well as Sahajanand, there's a change in the overall investment strategy. So can you talk us through?
Yeah, sure. Let me put this in the context of what we do at Samara Capital, and we can get more specific. So as Samara Capital in 2013-14 is when we changed our strategy from a growth investing, value adding partner to a controlling investor. Okay. And what we call ourselves as a mid-market focused buyout private equity fund. So the investments like Thyrocare Laboratories, etc., were prior to that, and that's why those were on the minority side. But since then, we believe that there are a lot of opportunities that are emerging because of entrepreneurs, promoters wanting liquidity in private markets due to various reasons. Could include generational shifts that may be happening. There are carve-out, spin-off opportunities that come from multinationals, from large conglomerates. There are opportunities to do partnerships in various forms and shape. And we said if we can build our capabilities, not just we were good at on the investing side of things, doing deep insightful research to come up with ideas where to invest in, but if we can also build a network where we can convert those ideas into deal making at a majority level or partnership level, as well as take it to the next step of doing operating value add for the companies that we are investing into. So with that mindset is where we started building our capabilities, and by 2013-14 we called ourselves out as a buyout focused fund, focusing on mid-market space, which we define as where we invest between 500 to 1,500 crore in a single check. And since then the journey has been doing more such buyouts. Now to the various differentiating factors that we managed to create includes roll-up plays, which as Samara Capital we have done almost 7-8 times over now.
So when you say roll up, means you acquire more companies under a particular asset, right, or a particular business.
Yeah. So it is, see, roll-up plays, it's also called platform plays, are a very common way of private equity investing in western part of the world, where the logical reasoning is that you are effectively putting together a few companies to avail either revenue synergies or cost takeout opportunities or bringing in efficiency. And all of these become an added layer of the underlying growth that the industry is enjoying. So we saw that in India there are significant subsectors within the broader sectors which remain fragmented and unorganized. And if we bring together few of them, we will be able to get those benefits of consolidation on revenue and cost front. So with that in mind, we started choosing our sectors where it is empirically proven that there is someone who has done that roll-up play before and has been successful at it. We don't want to be the first one doing it. And logically, for the reasons that I mentioned, in the Indian context, it makes sense to do that. So that's how, the best known consolidation roll-up play that we have done is Sapphire Foods, which was consolidating 8 different franchisees of Yum brands and becoming a master franchise for KFC, Pizza Hut, starting our journey with about 200 stores, going to almost 1,000 plus now. And in the journey, taking the company to an IPO in a successful manner.
Excellent. And you've done it for consumer also, right?
We've done it in consumer, in Esme Consumer. We've done it in staffing solutions through First Meridian. We are doing this now in hospital space through Marengo Asia Hospitals. So that's one big differentiator. The other differentiator for Samara Capital, I would say, is partnerships that we have done with multinationals as well as Indian business families. So Sahajanand Medical Technologies is something I would call as a partnership where both of us as promoters and Samara Capital, we were looking to do value add in the company and how we can scale it together. Then we've had Amazon as a partner in more retail, where the endeavor is to create an omni-channel present grocery-focused retail chain, which is where we believe this industry would be headed. We've had partnerships with Iron Mountain, which is a global leader in records management and storage. We were their India JV partners. Sapphire Foods, I already talked about that as an example. So this is something very unique, which reflects more on Samara's operating capabilities as well, and not just capital that we bring to the table.
So Abhishek, very, very interesting discussions, and I myself got to know quite a bit about the roll-up play and all of that stuff. Now moving on to ESG, for me, the healthcare sector really creates a huge social impact. Would love to understand from you, how have the ESG journey been at Samara?
See, right from the beginning, we had IFC Washington as an investor in Samara Capital. So we were quite exposed to all the ESG related frameworks back then as we were providing reports across our portfolio companies. So it became ingrained and a culture within Samara Capital. So in subsequent funds, we've not just sustained that, but we have continued to up our game on that front. Samara Capital is a signatory to United Nations PRI and an active member in terms of contributing towards it, sharing what we are doing with our portfolio companies. We've also identified climate as one big area where we will focus on reducing emissions and the carbon footprint. So each of our portfolio companies comes up with a report on an annualized basis in terms of what activity we have done throughout the year pertaining to ESG. As well as there are goals that we have taken in line with the various other organizations who are supporting this in terms of quantifiable difference that we are making to the economy. And all of this is captured right at the beginning as soon as we make an investment, so that during our journey we are able to stay true to that and deliver on that front as well.
Excellent. So I think the social impact is something you are not only achieving your economic impact but also achieving a lot of social impact and environmental impact.
Excellent. So moving on from how do you manage your portfolio companies, and I think ESG, as you said, is an important sort of area of focus. What are some of do you want to share some of the exit sort of thought process behind exits? I know you can't time an exit, but how has that evolved over the years?
See, where we operate, at the size at which we operate now, and being a controlling shareholder, exit is something that we can take at will and in a very, very planned and structured manner. Right. So the way we approach this is that make sure that the portfolio company is ready in a way in 3 years' time that it can avail an exit if it's coming its way, which means much of the effort on business development, on transformation that we do with respect to system, processes, people, governance is something that we do in the first 3 years in a meaningful way. For us, the first port of call is always strategic, which is the M&A route for our portfolio companies. We've also seen interest from secondary, other buyout funds as secondary. And there are always possibilities of taking our portfolio companies to IPO, which is what we have done as well successfully, given at the size and scale at which we operate. So this gives us enough optionalities as we build our company. And depending on which exit route is going to offer the best returns as well as longevity for the business and for the management teams is where we take the call in terms of how we need to head.
Interesting. Yeah, so alignment with management, especially if you're not having a majority stake, would also be important.
Yeah, no, I was talking about management teams that we have onboarded. So we would not want, all else being equal on the return side, then we can choose what is the best suited for the organization and for the management teams who we have onboarded.
Yeah. Excellent. So, and you've done, all your companies have either gone through a strategic sale or an IPO, and also to the...
That's right. These are the three form of exits.
One keep that flexibility and fungibility. Right. So, and in terms of, we briefly talked about the healthcare industry that is today. Where do you see the industry in 5 years from now? Including the role that technology is playing, but more so in the larger scheme of things. How do you see the industry? What would be the 2 or 3 main drivers that will fuel the growth in the industry in the years to come?
Yeah, I think the growth is there even if we don't do transformative things, because India is aging and there are going to be footfalls in the hospitals. But if I were to call out few trends which are non-reversible and something that 5 to 10 years out will be far more visible to everyone. First and foremost is this entire unorganized to organized shift that we are going to see. When I say that, I gave you a reference point in terms of just 3% of them are NABH accredited amongst the hospitals. And I'm calling the ones that are accredited are organized, the ones which are not are unorganized in a way. And through consolidation, as well as people and patients will be demanding that because of accountability. So there will be pressure from regulators, from patients for people to go for accreditations. And there will be a consolidation that will happen in the industry. And there will be a shift from smaller setups, family-owned, doctor-driven to corporate driven, professionally run healthcare setups. So that's something that this country is going to witness, and perhaps that's one of the key reasons why you are seeing a lot of private equity interest and investment that is flowing in this sector. The other trend that we would certainly see is towards universal healthcare, the affordability aspect that I talked about, which will make sure that everyone in India is having access, and affordability is something that will not be a challenge for them. Leading to universal healthcare scheme. So that's something that is certainly going to happen now. Whether it is 5, 10, 15 years away, it's anybody's guess. There is also a big opportunity that this country has, which is on the medical value travel side. We all know the quality of our doctors is top notch. Earlier, infrastructure is what this country was lacking. The best biomedical equipments is what the country was lacking. That also has been solved for, particularly in private hospital setups. So with the clinical talent and the infrastructure that is available, India will see a lot of inflow of medical tourism, as we say, or medical value travel, where they are seeking value without compromising on quality. And India does offer healthcare at significantly lower costs as compared to the developed geographies. Yeah. So we see this as a multi-billion-dollar opportunity. Government has recognized it. There are various forums, events, regulations that are now supporting it. So we do believe that this is something that India can benefit from. And targeting countries like Middle East, Africa, certain parts of CIS, as well as South Asia, where healthcare setups are not that great, and they will be the ones who would want to come and avail some of this. So that's one big theme that we see. And you talked about technology. Certainly, I think technology would lead a lot of things around clinical outcomes and for patient happiness index as well. Yeah. So whether it is using AI in, let's say, diagnostics for better detection, to using robotics where you are providing precision surgical interventions. Yeah. And from a patient convenience standpoint, if you are making the hospital far more efficient in terms of its operations, whether it is in terms of onboarding or checkout, and the various other experiences that patient has to go through in the hospital. So there will be technology, and that would be the differentiating factor for a lot of patients out there. So certainly I think these are some of the themes that we see.
Good. I think I like what you talk more on the medical travel part of it. From an India perspective, can you go a little more deep and explain us what is that opportunity for India?
So let me take you through what we are doing at Marengo Asia hospitals. As I mentioned, we do see this as a big opportunity. Just to put this in context, about 14-15% of Marengo Asia hospitals' revenues comes from these international patients, what we call as medical value travel. So it is first building the trust element when it comes to the patients who are sitting in outside geographies and the referring doctors who are their local doctors there. They would want to see what sort of a healthcare setup do you have. Are you accredited enough? And now we are going beyond NABH to a JCI certification, which is the Joint Commission International. Only about 45 hospitals in the country would have that today. So that gives that trust element that international patients are seeking. The doctors from India would typically go there, do their outpatient related consultations, and that will and basis their own judgment whether complex cases needs to then come to India, or if they are not so complex, they can be treated then and there itself. So that is what creates that ecosystem going. Then there are, of course, insurance companies, healthcare facilitators who are also seeing this as a big opportunity, and we'll keep contributing towards it. So at Marengo Asia Hospitals, this is our endeavor, where we are looking in each of the geographies that I mentioned to you, where we are trying to forge collaborations, where we are sending our doctors to do consultations, and for the patient, it is the end-to-end journey that needs to get covered, right from their visa requirements. It's not just the patient, there's family that would typically come along. Given that it's typically complex procedures like transplants, cardiac surgeries, onco-related things, which may require them to stay put for a longer time. So solving for what the family also requires, having dedicated patient lounges, having translators, multilingual, and all the support system that they require.
It's a service offering, right?
It's a service offering in a way.
There is more to the plate.
Yes, yes. And then of course the clinical outcomes that you are then able to drive.
So this on this clinical outcomes, Abhishek, as we spoke about, India is going through a very transformational journey in healthcare, right? More people are getting access to healthcare. Affordability is one thing which to some extent is being solved by schemes like Ayushman Bharat. On the other hand, we have clinical excellence which is also gaining significance, and there is, how do you balance the two, right? In on one side you have the government schemes which lay down certain price barriers, right? Or not barriers, but maybe there is capping on the treatment. And on the other side we have a significant desire to improve the quality of clinical excellence. Maybe if you want to share your thoughts on how the industry is managing the two and balancing the two, right?
Sure. Yeah, it's a tricky one, and people do have to make choices. At Marengo Asia Hospital, we've made a choice of offering the best quality healthcare without compromising on the cost element of it. It does deter us in terms of offering the various services that we offer to all the scheme empaneled patients as such. And that's the distinction that every hospital chain would have to make. There are new chains that are getting set up which are going to focus only on Ayushman Bharat schemes and so on. I think there's a larger question in my mind to this, which is, what do you define as clinical excellence? And once we are able to deconstruct that, is when we'll be able to appreciate why people do make those choices. If I look at clinical excellence, and we have some great examples, AIG Hospitals was one in gastroenterology. We have Tata Memorial on the cancer care, LVI Prasad for eye. So in India we've seen some of these and they are able to cater to all strata in a way. So you go down the route of specializing on something and then bringing down the cost, and you are able to offer it to everyone. But some of these are, like a Tata Memorial is a trust based, and it's not really endeavoring, or I think even LV Prasad, they are not going after profits. But how do you strike the right balance? The country also has to solve for access, which will only happen when private players make money, and that money goes back into setting up more hospitals and in tier 2, tier 3 and other locations. So it's a fine balance. Coming back to how we define clinical excellence, there are 4 parts as we see it. First is the people aspect. Second is the infrastructure. And third is about processes that you said. And fourth is what we call as research and academics. I'll explain each of these. When we talk about people, it's about doctors. So do you have the right doctors for all the subspecialties that you want to offer as treatments to patients? So that patients, when they come with a problem, they don't have to go anywhere else. They know that there will be champions, there will be certain super specialists who will be available, who will be able to take care of that. And of course, these are people who can perform all types of procedures that are required. So it's an all-encompassing set of people, which is doctors, that needs to be there in that specialty. Second is the infrastructure element, which is nothing but biomedical equipments, the various accreditations that you have got for the hospital, the latest technology that is available when it comes to procedures and so on. The third part is the processes. So how have you determined your own process flow such that you can measure the clinical outcomes? And we all know what is measurable is what you can improve. Right. So you get into that learning curve of figuring out set protocols, set processes, get yourself validated by international agencies if need be. But patient should not suffer. Even if a particular doctor is not available, someone else is doing that procedure, he knows that a process will be followed and the outcomes will be good. So setting up those clinical pathways and protocols as a process. And the fourth element is the research and academics, which is what we believe that a doctor's mindset should be of what pioneering work are they doing and contributing to this entire field. Are they learning enough in terms of the best practices that are available? Otherwise, we all know that learning becomes stale over a period of time if you don't continuously enrich that. If you're not aware of what is happening, best cases, study those, what treatment was offered. So that's the mindset of doing research, academics, that has to be cultivated. Now, if you are able to do all of this in one specialty, where you have right set of doctors, you have right equipments, you are following right processes, and you are contributing through research and academics, is what we call as center of excellence. So if somebody is endeavoring to do a center of excellence, it does entail investments upfront in doctors, in infrastructure and processes. And in order to cater to this, they will also seek international patients or cash paying patients or private insurance patients. Once the setup is working very nicely, that's where they can perhaps go and offer it to the various scheme based patients as well. So that's how the journey flows, and that's what we want to inculcate at Marengo Asia Hospitals, that pick up at least one specialty where you can call yourself as a center of excellence in each and every hospital that we invest into.
That's phenomenal. So I think we would love to hear more from you. We can keep going on, and I think I would certainly want to spend more time, Abhishek, with you at some point in time. It's phenomenal how you've laid down the whole journey at Samara, how you evolved, how your strategy has changed, and the most important thing, which is very impressive, is the focus on clinical excellence. You know, how you want it to be a more process and a more care for the patients rather than just running a business. So thank you so much for joining us. I wanted to ask a few more questions, but I think in the interest of time, we'll stop here and maybe take another opportunity to engage with you in the coming months. Anything else, Nutan, you have?
No, I think I was, for me personally, it was a very good learning from the health sector perspective. The NABH part, I think, possesses a huge opportunity for the healthcare sector. That's one lesson learned, and I love the model of center of excellence that you brought to the table. I think looking at those four aspects and actually building a hospital or building any business which looks at these four aspects, if you can do it well, I think the success mantra is right over there. So very good learning. Thank you so much, Abhishek.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks.